Well, guys, I didn't think we'd be talking about another data mine this soon after the chimney one a while back, but yeah, we're here to talk about another one. Not as drastic as even that one was, because a lot of this stuff isn't as guaranteed. There is some cool new info here. Most of it is stuff that a lot of people have already kind of predicted, but it is a bit more specific info. That's all I really want to say, so like with Chimney, if you want to be completely blind, then yeah. I will say in terms of side order, there was side order stuff that got leaked. I have not looked at it. I will not be talking about it. I will not be showing it. It is not in this thread. I am going to remain blind about it. I will say, if you are cautious about side order spoilers and use Twitter or something like that, I would start muting words related to it now, because there is apparently some pretty decent spoiler level stuff that has been found. I'm not sure how shared it's going to be. I'm not going to look at it, but, you know, I figured I'd say this while I'm covering it now. If you don't want to see that, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the new stuff. So, anyway, a lot of these were found since like 4.1.0, etc., etc. So, we have 4 new weapons. We have the Dually, Brella, Splatoon, and Stringer, which everyone expected pretty much. Like, that's what we thought we were going to get. But we get a little bit of a hint with the names of these things. Mainly, we have Maneuver Long, which is a new dually type weapon. So to be clear, these are new main weapons. These are not kits. We know these are brand new main weapons. So I don't have a lot to say about Shelter Focus for Brella. It's hard to really say what that is. I'll get to these two in a second, but let's talk about Maneuver Long, which is dually, real quick. Typically, long range would be what we're getting at here. And right now, the longest range dually we have is Dually Sculpture, which is a mid-range weapon. It's still not as much range as some other mid-range options. You know, there's things like Squeezer that have a little bit more. But this is pretty long range, and this is pretty crazy mobility as it is. It is going to be interesting to see a longer range weapon. I don't know if I would really see Dually as a backline. What I would assume this would be trying to be is something like Jet Squelcher for shooters, for instance. That would be my pure speculation, is that we're probably going to see something closer to, you know, wherever I shot the Squelcher here, you know, a little bit longer range. I'm not sure they're going to do that, though, because Dually Squelcher right now is already very slow to kill in that regard and already has good mobility, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of gimmick they attach to it. Again, like with Brella, no way about that one. No information about that one. That's my speculation for Dually, is that it'll probably be longer range. Saber, which is Splatana, is heavy as well. A lot of people thought we might get a light Splatana instead, even though Wiper is the light one. I was hoping for dual swords personally, but we are getting a heavier one, which I find interesting, because Splatana Stamper is already very long range. This thing is just about Jet Sculpture range with its Charge Slash. And it, of course, already has this combo, and so I'm wondering what they're going to do for it. Are we going to make the beam even more powerful? Is it going to have a combo like Stamper has? Is it going to be, like, close to an anchor? And if so, how's the up-close one-shot going to work? Is that going to be a thing? Is it going to actually be heavyweight? Is this going to be maybe something that is shorter range than Stamper, but plays a bit more slower, maybe more supportive of a Splatana, you know, more than Neo Stamper would be? It's hard to say. I do think a heavy Splatana could be interesting. I am curious if they would try putting this into a backline type role and what they would do with it. It seems like very odd to do that. Regardless, the one we get the biggest indicator on is Bow, which is called Stringer Explosion. Now, for Stringers, right now, Reflux does not have explosions. The main one does. And I think it's really interesting if they're going to lean more into the explosions with the next bow. I would assume this is a more heavy bow, but maybe this is something that, who knows if it has the tri-shot still. Maybe it's just a duo shot. Maybe it's one larger explosion instead, something like that. Maybe there's some closer to a hybrid of like Explorer Blaster where the shot like blows up mid-air or something. No idea. But I do think the Tri-Stringer bullets are a very interesting gimmick that we didn't really get to see with Reflux. So seeing them expanded on in a third bow kit, as pretty likely, would be very cool. Again, not a whole lot we can get off the names, but I still think it's cool to talk about it. On the bottom, some of you guys might have noticed that we do have Grizzco Roller. It will happen. I kind of expected it, considering we got a Grizzco Dually, so that's cool. My hope, right here, I want, like, you know Octo Samurai in Splatoon 2? single player with, like, the vertical flick that launched a beam at people and, like, you know, the scooter thing it would do when it rode the roller. That's what I want to see. Imagine that with the Grizzco roller. That could be cool. I'm just saying. So, this is something we've known a bit before, but the Reef had data in this game for a while. It does have a bit more stuff than we thought of, but a while back, Reef was found in the game's code. In this case, we had know it as model, scene, layout, and those seem kind of unfinished. So that's been in the game for a while. 2 S1 ports that pretty much don't matter, other than, wow, the S1 version of Mahi really was in this game, and we didn't put it in. This makes it a little bit more sad. Bluefin is here, which we know. And then the odd one here is Kelpdome. Kelpdome would be a very strange port, because we still have Urchin and Salt Spray as Splatoon 1 maps, Urchin being extremely iconic, and I would assume we would probably get that. And on top of that, if Kelpdome happened, it would be the first ever stage to be ported to both Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3, the first stage to be in all 3 games. I don't think Kelpdome is really the stage that deserves to be it. I know the stage has some fans. I used to be a fan when I was a casual in the game, back when I very first got it, but I don't think this is one of the best stage picks, and I think in terms of Splatoon 3's map design, I don't know if this is one we want. So, who knows why it's here, but it is here, so we'll see. Alright, new pieces of gear, some salmon rewards, not a lot to say, and data for the final 2 salmon run stages we don't have in the game. Which, considering we're probably going to get a new salmon run stage in this update, makes me a bit confused. Because we only have 2 seasons left, and I figure we're probably going to get at least 1 more new salmon run stage. So, is an update going to have multiple salmon run stages, or is this evidence for content extension? That part might lean more to content extension, because there is some data for third kits. However, most of them are copied over from Splatoon 2, but they're structured in ways it seems like they're added to S3. I wouldn't take this as definitive proof. So, very light note, but there is evidence of third kits in the game. I remember we did see Aerospray having its model a while back, though I think it was just directly copied from Splatoon 2. That was a long time ago in terms of the bronze Aerospray. And I believe there's a few other third kits that are in the game at this point. So, at least, like, somewhat there. So that's interesting to note. 2 of the gear are amiibo sets, which imply the existence of 2 more amiibos in development. So, after recording the original thing, I realized the 2 amiibos could be the side order ones. One with the one with the reskinned Dooley, and one with the reskinned Splatana Stamper. It could still be Pearl and Marina as another theory with their side order outfits, but that's what I would say it is. Anyway, salmon run-wise, we do have a few more things, which is, we know the last 2 big run stages in the code are Sturgeon Shipyard and Flounder Heights. 4 new salmon run banners, which seem to be for Season 7, and 2 new catalog banners, 1 for each season. Data for new unused salmonids, which is quite a few of them actually, and 2 new datas for Ghost and Big Balloon. So, that's pretty interesting. I believe some of these are... I believe Ghost and Big Balloon might be, well, they have badges for killing them. So I assume these might be, not King Salmonids, Boss Salmonids. And then we might see more Lessers, which could be really interesting. Lessers haven't really changed outside of being buffed between games. We haven't seen any new ones. And so it could be pretty interesting to break up the monotony of them a little bit. I'm very curious to see what we'll see. And then, yeah, side order, that's what I mentioned. Not going to be covering it. So... And then there's some of the other people who helped bring it up, so it's worth talking about. So, yeah, that is what we know so far. So, compared to the chimney thing where we had a pretty good concept of what it was, this one is pretty different, obviously. This is a lot more speculation and data. But I will say this. There's a lot more stuff in the game's code is probably a good sign in general. What stuff will make it into the game is unknown. I'd say there's a little bit more evidence for a content extension, though I would not get too hopeful for it yet. As of right now, we could still just be getting the 2 more seasons we have planned. But I think it is really interesting to take a look at, so huge shout out to Ash for compiling all of that, obviously, and all the other data miners mentioned. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about it briefly. I figured that even if it's still kind of vague at the moment, it would still be good to know about for you guys, so I wanted to at least talk about it a little bit, especially since I'll probably be asked about it quite a bit. So, yeah, that is my my thoughts on it. I'm excited. I'm glad that it's honestly not that much major news, because like I want to not be super spoiled on the new weapons right now. So I like the idea of having a bit of information to be able to speculate a little bit more, but not enough to really definitively know too much. And we'll see what they do with the new concepts. Thank you guys so much for watching. Also, final thing to note at the end that Masa pointed out, clearing up some misconceptions. The way that these findings are discovered is in a way where we can obtain the path related to the content, and we cannot post pictures of how they're named or what they look like. Even if we did, we'd want to avoid doing so. Some of the content listed as said is subject to change or to be removed at a later date. It doesn't mean the content found will be added, since only having the path reference can give us a hint that it exists or has existed at some point during development. Also, just because the content was found altogether doesn't mean it is going to be added all at once. Most of it is definitely getting distributed separately between the 2 seasons that are left. So it's better to expect some stuff now and some in the next update. So basically, everything is still subject to change. Of course, nothing is guaranteed.